Hi, and welcome to my channel. My name is Lynn, and today I'll be crafting with a mix of some new releases from Spellbinders and some older releases from last Christmas release, but I haven't yet crafted with them because I actually just picked them up when they went on clearance not too long ago. So I'm starting off with some glitter cardstock. I just die cut out a rectangle from the center, and then using the same die, I die cut out of just some plain white cardstock to create a nice level surface. That way I can save some of my pretty glitter cardstock, but still have a really nice flush level surface to attach this panel here. Now this is a panel that I did a lot of multiple glimmering of one of the new glimmer sentiments sets that came out, because each line, each phrase is a separate glimmer plate. So I lined them up diagonally and just did multiple random through the glimmer machine and platinum machine multiple times to get this effect. I do have a separate video that shows all of my glimmer prep work for the next several card making videos that I'll have. I just thought, just to keep for my own sanity, the video editing a little bit easier, because what I did was, because there were so many glimmer sets that I chose to work with this month or this release, I sat down for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and just glimmered up a storm. And that's generally what I would do anyways, but in this case, because there are just so many different sets and I had no idea or plan for how I wanted to use the various sets. So in terms of editing, it would be quite a challenge, because basically how I approach my glimmering is I'll glimmer the positive, so the way it's meant to be designed to use. And now that Spellbinders has so many different solid shaped glimmer plates, after I'm done glimmering all of the positives, I go through and then I glimmer the leftover foil and then I'll have negative panels to work from as well. And then once I have that stack of glimmered elements, it's just additional material that I can use in my card making. And it's after that, when I can see everything, that I then decide how I want to use it. And for these panels, so I did one in red and this one I did in green. And with this one, it worked a lot better. I didn't get any double imaging on the glimmer, because with the red one, and this is what I highly recommend when you run your glimmer sandwich through your platinum machine, just roll through the one time. If you have your sandwich combination dialed in, your paper dialed in, it can only cause problems if you try to run it through multiple times, like on that red panel, because what happened was I fed my glimmer sandwich in a little bit crooked and it wasn't going to make it through the opening of my die cutting machine. So I had to backtrack a little bit and then turn it a little bit so that it was more straight going through the machine and could actually fit through. And in the course of doing that, the glimmer plate shifted. And that's why I got a little bit of double glimmering or ghosting on the red panel. So I would definitely just I always try to put my glimmer sandwich in a little bit crooked, just so that same as principle with die cutting, so that you're hitting, the rollers are hitting the plates at different angles and there isn't like a huge bump as it goes through, but in that case it just went through at too severe of an angle. So these dancing die cuts that I'm using, this one's the gnome, the previous one was, I think, just like a little girl holding a stack of gifts. And the premise is it's super easy. There's this one die which has the legs and it has this sort of donut at the top. And that donut is where in the center you would place a little foam dot. And that will essentially serve as a place to hang the legs from. And then what you would do is close off or attach another piece of cardstock to the top of that foam dot in order to lock the legs in place, but because the legs aren't touching any adhesive, or at least they shouldn't be, then they are free to swing back and forth freely. I make a mistake a little bit, and I'll show you where it is so that you can avoid this mistake when you go to make yours. The rest of the gnome is going to need to kind of sit at the same level as that foam dot. And I like to use a nice thick foam dot. So this is one of those occasions where the foam that I'm using is maybe on the order of 3 to 4 millimeters thick. It's thicker because I do need the dimensions so that the legs have a lot of room to swing back and forth. And so with the top portion of our gnome here, I'm putting some of that. It's not exactly the same thickness, but it's going to be close enough. And so I want all of the gnome, basically the upper portion of his body, to be at the same level. So here's my mistake. This is the shirt that the gnome is wearing. And again, I wanted to make sure that it was all kind of at the same level as the foam that the legs are hanging off of. And so in a bit here, I'm actually going to put more adhesive than I should have. Or it's not the amount, it's the placement, the location where I put it. But you'll see me on camera fix it as well. So it's an easy fix, but if you can avoid it in the first place, then it's probably better to just avoid it. So as I was placing this down, I realized, well, I only have these 2 little squares of foam at the top, and in the center, I might have like a little bit of a saggy center. So I put 2 more pieces of foam down, and then I went to put this on top of the foam dot that the legs are hanging from. And anytime you work with interactive components, make sure to test as soon as you add a new piece, because when I tested it, the legs didn't swing anymore. And that's because these foam dots, where I placed them, they were too low, and they actually got in the way of that little donut, the legs. And so it couldn't actually swing it back and forth because the foam was obstructing that movement. So that's one thing to be aware of. But really, if you're always testing your interactive mechanism, anytime you add a new component to it, and in particular when you're using wet glue like I am, then you should be able to catch these things pretty quickly and save them or fix them, especially because the wet glue does give you a little bit of time before that glue really sets and becomes a permanent hold. So that's one tip. And then the other tip is, if you're handling your foam adhesive like I had to peel it up, put it back down, just put a little bit of liquid adhesive, because you might have removed some of the stickiness, but when you put some liquid adhesive, that's going to make it super permanent. I hope that you enjoyed these cards, and if you did, please consider liking, commenting, and sharing. And if you want to catch new videos as I post them, consider subscribing to my channel and ringing the notification bell. Thanks so much. Until next time, happy crafting and have a fantastic day. Bye.